Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm meadsyreplays. Welcome back to the channel. Now, in today's video, we're going to talk about what I have now decided is my new favorite tank in the game. We're going to talk about the tank and we're going to talk about why it is my favorite tank in the game. Of course, we are talking about the XM66F. Now, it's not a secret that I love this tank. Every time I talk about this tank, I talk about how much I love the tank. Now, we're going to look at the stats again, and then we're just going to get into a couple of little games, nothing too special, and then talk about why I love this tank so much. So, first off, it does have the emergency track. So basically what that is, it allows you to move backwards at a speed of 7 kilometers per hour if the main track is destroyed, which is very, very good thing to have. Like, a lot of the time you probably won't use it, but if you're in a kind of position where you're just at the bottom of a ridge or at the top of a ridge and you get tracked, at least you're able to move back enough so the enemy can't see you. The same as if you're on a corner, you can still move back quick enough and you won't be able to get shot. So yeah, that's a very good thing to have. Now, the turret armor standard is 248 millimeters and your hull is 150. Now, you can actually get more than that, you can get a little bit less than that, depending of course on your angles. So yeah, armor profile is actually very, very strong, which is one of the reasons I love the tank. Now, the damage per minute, 3,313. That is another reason why I absolutely love this tank. Now, we are also running calibrated shells, so if we was to run the rammer, we could get this up to over 3,500. So very, very good DPM. That is just a 7.42 second reload. Your penetration is 284 on your AP, 374 on your heat, and 72 on your HE. So yeah, the heat pen 374, that is why I run calibrated shells, so you won't struggle penning anything with that heat. You've got a 410 alpha, which is nice, for every 7 seconds. You've got 350 on your heat and 470 on your HE. Aim time 3.9, nothing special. The gun dispersion 0.326, which isn't actually that bad. And your gun depression is a very, very nice 10 degrees. Your top speed as well is 40 kilometers per hour. So just looking at the stats are very, very good. Now, if you look at the tank, especially from behind, like it's beefy, very, very beefy. You wouldn't think that this tank goes as fast as it actually does, but honestly it does. It surprised me as just how fast this tank can get. I mean, it's not like massively fast, but you can get, you know, it's fast enough for what it is. It really is fast enough for what it is. So yeah, just overall, I'm not going to lie. I am not going to lie that it probably is my favourite tank because of just how I believe how OP the tank is. Because I do believe the tank is OP. I'm not going to lie. I do think it is overpowered. And I wouldn't be surprised in the future if Wargaming, 1, either nerfs it, or 2, doesn't bring it back for a very long time, because that is usually what happens when Wargaming release a very, very strong tank, especially in tier 10. We've had tanks like it before, i.e. the T-22. When that first came out, it took ages for Wargaming to resell the tank. Now, just because the armor profile is decent or very good in certain positions in this tank, as you've just seen with the Death Star, and then again there with the STB, you're not impenetrable. Like, you can get penetrated. Your front plate, the lower plate especially, can easily be penetrated, so do be careful of that. You can't just roll up into the enemy and expect to bounce everything. I mean, you will a lot of the time. I'm not going to lie. You will get a lot of bounces in the thing, but again, it all depends on how you play the tank. Now, because I lost all my hit points very, very early on, I now have to be very, very careful for the remainder of the game. Now, the thing that surprises other players as well is the DPM. I mean, mediums will come at you thinking that they will out DPM you, no problem at all. But what they seem to forget is you've got the armor and you've got pretty much the same DPM as these medium tanks. Now, one thing I would watch out for on the tank is that traverse. I mean, you can really get caught out on the traverse. Now, luckily, I had this Caro 45 for a bit of protection. Otherwise, I could have probably been torn apart from that Progetto. So do look at your surroundings. If you do get the tank, or if you have got the tank, do look at your surroundings and just make sure you do have that little bit of cover. And I mean, like rocks to the side of you, because you will need that. If you get caught out in the middle of the open, then yeah, you could potentially get torn apart. So do be careful of your positioning, especially up against medium tanks. Now, I'm just going to sit back at the minute here, but because Badger is just sitting at the front, I do struggle, but I do manage to get the shot off, and we do kill that Badger. So it's now a 3 versus 2. I mean, we've only bounced 350 damage. We've literally bounced one shot this game, which is nothing at all. And then, of course, there is the grill, which I do only just over 200 damage against that guy. So I'm a one shot to him, so I'm just going to wait until I know he's not looking at me, and then again a bit of a low roll with the HE, but at least he's not looking at me, and we are able to get the kill. So 3,300 damage. I think we're gonna get one more shot into this E100, and yeah, so overall, great DPM. Fantastic DPM, fantastic armor, fantastic speed. However, there is still some negatives about the tank that you still need to be very careful of. Mainly, which is what I've just explained with the traverse. Like the traverse, the turret traverse especially. Again, if you do decide to rush forward and then get into a position which isn't great and you haven't got protection, then you will probably come off worse. So yes, be careful. Just be careful. Make sure you have a little bit of support with you, whether that will be your medium team, your tank, sorry, or whether that will be a building or rocks. I do tend to go with my mediums. Like, I do like supporting them because I'm quick enough to go and help them out, and I've got the armor to try and deal with the medium tank. So when I do play the tank, I don't, even though it's a tank destroyer, I will never ever play this tank like a proper tank destroyer where I'm sat at the back of the map. That you don't need to do that with this tank. Like, please don't sit at the back of the map, because yes, I know it is officially a tank destroyer, but you can play it like a heavium, really. Like, it's got the speed to deal with the mediums, and of course it has that DPM as well. And if you can hide that lower plate, then you will get bounces. Honestly, the lower plate is the biggest weak point. You do have weak points in other places on the tank, but it's more the lower plate. If you can hide that middle lower plate, then you'll be all right. Now, if you have tanks like this, the IS-7 rushing towards you, I mean, you're going to out DPM him all day long. So let him take the shot, you know, because he's just taken one shot, and then he's obviously going to try and get around that rock there, which is the right move for him, but sadly he's still there. He's going to back up again, and I'm just trying to try and get close to him, because that is where this tank can also shine a little bit, when you are sort of real close to the enemy, like the Badger. Like it plays very, very similar to the Badger, and the same with the Badger. The lower plate is very, very weak, and if you do find yourself in the open and nowhere to go, the only thing I'd really proper recommend is just to push forward into the enemy, hug them, face hug them, just make it difficult for them to be able to penetrate you. Sort of wiggle around, and you should be all right. And I love it when medium tanks just completely forget that this tank has got insane DPM, like, because they all will. A lot of them forget just how good this DPM, and they try to attack you, and they're like, oh my god, he's just shot. And then he shot me again. What the hell? Why is this guy still shooting? Like, is it an auto-loader? Because sometimes that is what it feels like. But overall, it's definitely up there as my number one. It's got to be up there as my number one tank. Absolutely love the tank. The STRVK is still up there. I still love the tank, but that has dropped down to second place. And of course, if you want to know my top three, the third to finish it off is the Leopard 1. I've always loved the Leopard 1. It was my favourite tank in the game for a very, very long time. But that is until Wargaming started introducing these new tanks. So yes, I'm not ashamed to admit it. It is my favourite tank. It's because of how overpowered I think the tank is. But you guys might not think it's overpowered, and I'd love to know your opinions. Do you think it's overpowered, or do you think it's meh, or yeah, do you like it? Let me know in the comments below. But for now, hope you enjoyed today's video. I'm meadsy69, and I will catch you all soon. Bye bye.